So we are COVID-365. And hello, everyone. I'm Chris Catterton. If I can ask my team just to start sharing their webcams. I'm Chris Catterton. I make up one of the team members of COVID-365. We have created a platform that's relevant for this COVID-19 time, along with way down the line once we've all completely, hopefully, forgotten about this crazy situation that we're in today. So a lot of business value generating from what we've created here, and hopefully that comes across in our presentation and demo. I'm going to start off with a quick video that one of our team members, Zach Morsbach, has created. And after that, we'll jump into some slides and then go into a live demonstration.
Hey everybody, Zach with OneTech here. I just wanted to take a quick minute and show you this new platform we deployed that's going to help you keep your organization productive no matter where your team members sit. COVID-19 has changed the way we do business, and right now across the globe our remote workforce is larger than it's ever been. So we developed tools to help you manage that more effectively and in ways you've never been able to do before, including a new artificial intelligence-based risk score predictive analysis. So here on the first page is a company overview that just gives you all of the basic high-level metrics that you might need at a glance. From there, you can dive deeper into the projects, find out what's going well, find out what might need help. And then you can also get personalized insights into each of your team members, including things like availability, feeds from whatever their workflow might include. We also have the proprietary OneTech Connect Cube that will help provide inputs into their workflow throughout the day. And then over here is the artificial intelligence-driven health risk score analysis that's going to take a multitude of factors and provide a predictive risk score for the health and safety of your workers. So we'd love to tell you more. Shoot an email to sales@onetech.ai, and Chris and I will jump on the phone with you. Thanks.
So that's some good sales enablement material that's been created by Zach. And we'll jump into our presentation here. We have an awesome team. What we've been able to do over the last 2 weeks is really phenomenal. So we, as you guys saw, we've created a platform for monitoring the productivity of a remote workforce as it's more relevant than ever. And we believe that, moving forward, there's probably going to be a larger population of remote workers. So this is certainly relevant. And not only the productivity, but what their risk level is. So right now we're looking at the risk level of, them contracting COVID-19, but down the line, this could look at other health risk factors. It could look at, maybe they're climbing towers. And so we need to look at, what's the risk factor related to that, or maybe it's just what their productivity, are they meeting their goals, and if they're not meeting their goals, what's the risk factor of them not able to perform at the company. So we'll go into that in more detail. I want to overview the team. Again, they've been awesome. We have Arthur, who has done phenomenal work with inside of C2M, created all of the data feeds. We've worked with C2M's connectivity manager. We have a workflow as part of this. Obviously, we have dashboards. Arthur's been the mastermind behind that. Melissa has done all of the design work, those sharp-looking dashboards that you saw, and you'll see more of here momentarily. That was all of her work, so kudos to Melissa. Levi has done a great job with some hardware that we've brought into our solution, so we'll take a look at that momentarily. Abraham has created a really, really powerful AI-driven risk score, all based on OneTech's micro AI technology. We'll get a deep dive of that from Abraham later on in this presentation. I'm Chris Catterton. I'm really just going through this presentation and overviewing what the team has really put together here. And Zach did a really good job putting together that Vidyard presentation that we just saw. So we came up with this really by looking at the problem, right? So COVID-19 has completely changed how we've worked. We're now working remotely. This is going to have a long-term effect on how the world works overall. There's estimates that 50% of the workforce that wasn't working from home previously is now going to be working remotely, just due to the cost benefit savings of real estate and whatnot. So managers need more insight to the productivity and the health of their greatest assets, which are the people of the company. So our solution combines data from commonly used tools from these teams. So think of Google Analytics, HubSpot, Sembla, GitHub, along with our proprietary Cube Connect hardware to track, the productivity, the safety, and performance of these employees. So what this does, creates a lot of business value around creating more visibility into the remote workforce. We're able to gain easier collaboration between teams, and I'll show you how we do that here whenever we get to the Connect Cube. And we have a single pane view into the company operations, so I don't need to jump from report to report that maybe are being manually created, or I need to go into different systems to look at the KPIs. We pull it all into a single pane glass view for just quick, pull it up on your mobile device if you want to, real-time insights. So how we do this is we have APIs connecting to Google Analytics, HubSpot, Sembla, and GitHub. That's pulling in through APIs, the KPIs that are relevant for the organization. We have a hardware product called Cube Connect. I have a slide that overviews this, and we'll look at it in more detail. But basically, it allows me to tell people when I'm working, when I'm on call, maybe not working, not in front of my computer, but if you need to call me, I'm around. And then, a do not disturb mode, right? I'm sleeping, I'm resting, I'm having dinner with my family, whatever it may be. I'm able to quickly set those statuses on this cube and also start, having communications and whatnot through this cube. And again, we'll go in more detail there. And really the powerhouse behind this is micro AI. So again, Abraham has been able to aggregate data from Johns Hopkins and a lot of different other sources to look at what the risk score is for COVID-19. And again, we'll further this looking at other risk factors after COVID-19 starts to die down. So we aggregate all of this into C2M through the API management gateway, through the analytics tool, pipe it into the dashboards to output worker productivity metrics through the visualization. So let's talk about that piece of hardware. So up top, this is simply just a beta 3D printed version that we'd like to see come to real life. Right now, we're using a Raspberry Pi 3 with a SenseHat. So the yellow is whenever I'm on call, right? And that's whenever I'm not necessarily in front of my computer working, but call me, I'll pick up the phone and we'll start working. Blue is active. That means I'm currently working on projects, I'm on meetings, I'm around, so I'm actively working. We strategically chose blue for the light output because it, based on some research we did, that's what actually drives productivity, creativity, and energy for just through visual senses. So this Cube Connect is your dedicated work device, right? So everyone has one of these on their desk. They carry it around with them. And I can click a button to say, hey, I'm active, I'm on call, kind of not necessarily active, but around, or I'm away, or just not, do not disturb. We would like the ability to have voice command request where I could say, hey, Cube, call Zach Morsbach, right? And I start calling and having a conversation with them. So I can start logging these internal calls that I'm having to track metrics on these as well. I could have this set up in a meeting and I could use it to record the meeting, right? And then take this voice to text. So I have some notes and minutes of that meeting that I just held. And then I can also start integrating sensors. So let's say that they're not necessarily sitting behind a desk at their home working, but they may be climbing cell towers and I need to watch for fall risk, right? So let's tie into an accelerometer. And if we detect that there may have been a fall, let's trigger a workflow to maybe we dispatch someone out there to check on them or give them a phone call, whatever it may be. And also distance travel. So I catch myself quite often sitting in front of my computer screen for hours and hours and hours, and I never stand up. So we need to stay fit one way or another. Maybe we have some sort of reminder. Hey, stand up, you haven't, go walk around, you haven't moved a lot recently. So simply just aggregating in those sensor data to keep us healthy as we have this remote work situation.
We like to think of this as like a portable, secure, enterprise-focused, AI-driven personal assistant. So like if you think about the consumer products, Alexa, Siri, things like that, this would be similar in function, with the exception that it would be, enterprise focused, and then similar to the Alexas of the world, it can grow in its functionality. If you bought an Alexa several years back, it had, a few things it could do over the years. It enables new skills, and this would work the same way.
Absolutely. So our AI generated risk score. So we've seen this in a couple previous presentations. This is one aspect of what we've created here. We gather the worker geographic coordinates, right? So we pull in latitude and longitude from our remote workers, and we crawl Johns Hopkins data quite often, multiple times a day, to pull in the data from each county around the United States, and then also countries around the globe. So we calculate our risk score based on confirmed number of cases, based on the nearest 6 counties. So we draw a 100-mile radius around where the worker is, and the closest 6 counties, we pull in data. If there are not 6 counties, then we disregard the 6th and just pull in 5 or 4, or whatever that number may be. We also calculate what the slope or the increase rate of those confirmed cases are. So over here in the top right, I have a comparison of New York. So this is New York City in the red. This is Dallas County. And you can see early days, our slopes were quite similar. But Dallas started declining much sooner than New York. So risk level for New York City would be much higher than Dallas County. And then to this, people within inside the same county would get different scores based on their location. So if you're in the northwest quadrant of Dallas County, you may pull in data from Wise instead of Kaufman County, as we can see down here. So this person is kind of central Dallas County. They have Kaufman coming in. If they were more northwest, we may get data from Wise. Again, we'll go in more detail on this momentarily. Lastly is company management. This is what's really driving that business value. We have the company overview, single snapshot, where my people are, who's active, how are my projects going, KPIs from HubSpot, Google Analytics, GitHub, Assembla, all coming into the metrics here in the top right quadrant. Then time logs, so I can see, when people are clocking in, when they're clocking out, what their beginning of day and end of day statuses are, and what roadblocks do they have. I, as a manager, as a director, how can I help this person overcome those roadblocks and start becoming productive again? So I'd like to switch over to our live presentation and start looking at these dashboards. So this is created in C2M. Again, I have a map of my people here. Blue is active, orange or yellow here is on call, and this gray is simply inactive. So I have KPIs of how many are active, inactive, etc. I can do a search and find a specific person. Over here in the top right, as I mentioned before, so our sales organization here at OneTech runs in HubSpot, so I can quickly see for the week how many calls have been made, how many emails have been conducted, how many leads do we have in the pipeline, and what our revenue is. And again, some of these numbers may not be completely true. Marketing, so I have some Google Analytics numbers coming in as far as number of active campaigns, how many partners do we have in the queue, how many active partners do we have sending in leads. As far as dev goes, all running from GitHub, what type of projects are people committing code pushes on? So is it product features, is it client projects, is it architectural fixes or enhancements, and then overall, how many commits do we have? Then as far as Assembla, that's where we track our tickets. So how many sub 1, 0, that's always a good thing. Sub 2s, we have 7 we're working through, 17 sub 3s, 18 sub 4s. So down here, active projects, I have a list of projects, their names, what the status is. Are we on track, are we at risk, are we completely off track? Looks like we need to pick up on our fun intern project for this summer. And then we have, how far we've progressed through this, what the estimated start and end dates are, how high the priority is, and then who's actually managing this, right? So I have these simple icons, and I could drill down into those people to get a more granular look, and we'll do that momentarily. And then a time log. When are people logging in and logging out, right? So, Arthur started at 9, finished at 7, and we can calculate those number of hours to put in each day. So then if we dive into one of these particular projects, right now I'll look at micro AI overview. So I have a Gantt chart just showing each level of activity, how we're progressing through that. Over here in the top right, just a simple overview of the project. So if I have someone new coming on board, I can send them to this view. They can quickly understand who's working on it, what's the project about, and what are my particular activities that I need to be paying attention to. And then down here, again, I can list down those individual team members that are inputting effort to this particular project. So let's check out Levi here. So if we go into Levi's dashboard, we'll pull that up, and we actually have some live data coming in from Levi. So I'll
Can
put
y'all
this.
see the Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay.
and if anyone else on the team, I cannot see the Raspberry Pi. But,
Oh, you cannot?
Yeah, no,
well,
it's
yeah, good.
Yeah, we can see it. We can see
okay.
it. This is looking good. Yeah.
Yep, wonderful. So I have live data sending in from Levi's Cube Connect, right? So this is that little Cube Connect that we were showing earlier. If Levi presses a joystick, he can quickly change from simple inactive time, right, to an active time. So it's going to switch that color over to blue, and we'll start to see these numbers increase, right? So we're at 16. Sorry, I'll stop hovering my mouse over this. We're at 168.06. Now we're at 168.03. So we're calculating this in minutes. It's very easy for us to run this through an analytic to switch this over to hours if you wish. But I like minutes. It's quickly, easily digestible. So as you can see, that chart's coming in. So what this is, it's just an overview of each individual team member, right? So we have Levi's picture up here, where, he's in the engineering department, quick contact information when he joined the organization. Up here, I have some KPIs. Currently, he's active, as we just saw, how many minutes he's spent active, and those are updating in real time, as you see. Then I have some environmental data points coming in. So his temperature and humidity. Want to make sure our workers are in a safe environment, right? So this is relevant. As we move down this dashboard, we have his time log. So momentarily, I'll show you how he inputs this data. But each day, he's able to say when he started work, when he ended work, and what he completed for that day, along with any roadblocks. Also, we can see the body movement, so need to make sure that we're still moving around and not just sedentary, sitting behind a desk for 12 hours a day. One piece that we'll look at in more granular detail is this risk score. So coworker 2, he's up in New York City, and he has a risk score of 15,016 or 614. Levi is at a risk level of 2. So again, Abraham will take this over momentarily. Let me just take a quick look at how we input this daily report. So
just to emphasize, Chris, this dashboard you showed is all into C2M. So it's created in C2M. Now you're going and showing the workflow part of the C2M, and then the AI part was the one-text micro AI, right?
You got it. Absolutely. So let's dive into the workflow. So productivity tracker, if I go into this app, have my team listed out here. Now if I create a new entry, I'm going to log my time for a day. So I'll select my name. I'll select my start time, usually an early riser. So let's say I started at 6 a.m. And for today, I need to complete the Prezzo for this presentation. And let's say I need to reach out to partners and send emails, whatever they may be, right? So I'd fill this out and submit. Then at the end of the day, I'd come back in and say, all right, I worked from 6 a.m. till, let's say it was an early day. Stopped at 5 o'clock and say, completed Prezzo, reached out, etc. Right, so I'd submit this. This data then feeds directly back into that dashboard, right? So this is where all of this data that we're looking at for Levi is generated directly from that workflow. Last piece that I'll show in this dashboard before handing over to Abraham is GitHub commits. So based on his department, so right, he's in engineering, we have a GitHub widget here. But I, being in sales, I'm going to have a HubSpot widget there, which is going to track how effective I'm being at my outreach, you know, the clients I'm reaching out to, et cetera. If I was on IT or IT support, I'd have a Symbol listed here. If I was on marketing, I'd have Google Analytics listed here. So this is specific to that department of each user. And Abraham, with that, I'll hand it over to you to really show the value that we have running in our AI-generated risk score.
Thank you very much, Chris. Could you please stop sharing screen? I'll share mine. Thank you. So as Chris explained before, the risk score is calculated based on the data we get from Johns Hopkins University. And we calculate the top 6 counties closest to your coordination. And with this number, we also add weight based on the distance. And we eventually get a influence number. It's based on a prediction of number of cases in this area, but not exactly the exact case because we add weight to it. Here I can show you how it works. This is all my code regarding the AI engine. And this part we got a number of different coordinates. You can get this number from Google Map or anywhere. And then we feed these coordinates to my AI engine. And then this is my result. As we can see, the center of Dallas has a score of 2,800, but the center of New York has a much higher score because they have much higher number of COVID-19. But some people, if they're in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, then the score is much lower. And then we categorize those scores into different categories, which low risk, medium risk, or high risk. Because New York is much higher. Their risk is much higher than other people, so they're in the highest level. They're in danger. If you have any other questions, you can ask me in the Q&A. If not, we'll move back to Chris Ketterton.
Yep, wonderful, Abraham. So
thank you very much.
I think that really completes our overview here. Like I said at the beginning of this, it's relevant for today's COVID-19 times. It's relevant for far beyond that. So it generates a lot of value for businesses today and in the future. So thank you very much for listening. I'll open it up for Q&A from the judges.
Good job, Chris and team. You guys have covered a lot of stuff with all the different technologies. Huh? Great work. So judges, any questions you guys want to start asking them?
Yeah, I think I need this for my students. Now we've been, it's been a pretty taxing change for students to come out of classrooms and go online. You know, and you know, circumstances like these cause a lot of mental health, anxiety, and things like that. It's been a little tough for us to try and manage students falling over the cliff. You know, if they are anxious about going home, and you know, if they're, so the way we are checking on them is by have they logged into our LMS system, have they attended any of the classes, have they turned in the assignments. We are looking at all that data to figure out is something going on, because this person is now remote and we don't have access. Obviously our therapy departments don't have access, mental health departments don't have access to these students. So that's one way to track the activity, to figure out is something going on with the student? Do we need to contact the parents, or do we need to contact the student directly? We're
Absolutely.
not getting reactions from them. So this has been, I mean, actually more than just productivity, this has more of being like, you know, a health check, because we feel kind of we are responsible. We are the ones who know these people. There's a lot of folks live alone. Even with the workforce, you know, a lot of people live alone, and the only touch point they have out in the public is their workplaces. now that they're remote and the workplaces are not keeping in contact, they disappear off the face of the earth, no one would know until a few days later. So, something like this is really good. We had something like this back in Fujitsu, but it was ahead of its time. Nobody wanted to contribute in that level of information. But now, we are looking for platforms that do this. So one of the, I guess, really well done. But I guess we could look at this as a black box for the enterprise, just like on a plane, it records everything, and it's used if something happens.
Well,
Right.
for company operations, I have a team of people, and I need to jump to multiple different systems to see what they're doing. So every single day I would utilize this. Looking at the risk score, of course, I would look at that on a daily basis as well. So not only with COVID, but like you're saying, are people submitting their activities? Are they submitting, their quizzes? Are they opening up the material that I'm sending them? So I think it has much more of an impact on a daily basis than just, post event.
No, and in fact, people are not just dying of COVID; they are dying of other things.
Of course,
to their own devices. You never know what goes on. So, God forbid, people having a tough time working through, being on their own. So it looks like you guys have integrated to Microsoft, to email exchanges. Is this also integrated to Slack, Jira, Atlassian?
Yeah, very similar tools. Yeah, so Assembla is our equivalent of Jira. So activity on Slack, activity on Skype. Looking at how they're interacting with their teams, are they interacting with their teams, would certainly be a part of this.
Right. Yeah. So getting that into action, like basically work, especially in this time, in countries where people are isolated, they're not even allowed to go outside. Kind of if I could run an analogy to a health tracker, in the sense like if I want to run a marathon, I'd actually I use an app called Endomodo, and it basically tells me how much to run, how fast to run, or what pace to keep, or what cadence to keep, if I'm going to be able to run, a full marathon or half marathon in like maybe 4 weeks or a month or 3 months. So basically what it's doing is it's giving me a cadence. So if you look at that, maybe something similar to provide a cadence to work, yes, I can see all this, but even, looking at these dashboards, it can make people feel really anxious that, hey, I'm behind on my work. I don't know how to get this done, but I'm already working more than the hours that, I would have done at work, because everybody working from home, there is no structure to when you begin and when you end. So can this app be used to kind of create that cadence, give a similar structure as a workplace, so that people, mind frames are like more, okay, fine. I mean, if I want to reach here, this is already telling me I need to start solving so many issues or so many tickets at this rate.
Right, absolutely. That could be a part of the AI output. Is, we have, today is the 19th of April, and due date is the end of the month, right? We have this many open tickets, and you're assigned to this many open tickets based on just simple analytics. This does not have to be AI driven. You need to complete, 5 tickets a day. If we go beyond that and start looking at how much effort needs to go into each one of these tickets, then we could start producing, you should accomplish these 3 tickets today. 1 is very tough, 2 are very easy, right? So we could start breaking it down. Right. So certainly a very good roadmap item for this.
Yeah, and especially the manager, can probably reallocate the work. The last point I wanted to make was, incorporate just like your fitness tracker, breathing apps. The other thing is, do anticipate, the success of this kind of a tool actually depends on making sure, anticipating that people will go away from work to look at stock market tickers, news, Twitter feed, Facebook, coffee breaks, lunch breaks, what have you. But that should be part of the design of the tool, so that it seems a little more humane,
right,
than having a watchdog
Yeah, no, we're humans, right? We need to take breaks. We need to stand up and walk around and realize that there's a beautiful outside world too that we can at least observe, right? So completely agree with everything you've said.
Right. So if you design the layout around that, and then overlay the work piece in there, that means you keep your stop tickers right there. You know, they can click on it, they can go to it. You know, it's right there. I mean, you're allowed to interact with all that. It's not like
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good questions. Cats, Lai. Yeah.
I love the discussion earlier. It just remind me, one of my customer were asking us is for our FirstNet customer. They want to keep track of the health of their employees, and especially during this time, the fire department and the hospital, and how they can keep track of their mental health and how they can keep track of these first line people, that how we can provide assistance to them, because most of them, once they are in the emergency room, once they are involved with an incident, they will forget about themselves. And I think this is going to be so helpful for some of my customers, that they want to keep track of their employees' health. This can be integrated with the sensor like you guys talking about. And I see this has a really good potential for the future, not only this COVID-19, but for future maintaining the employee health.
Yes, strongly agreed. Thank you, Lai.
Yep.
The other thing is you could add maybe a conversational aspect to it. People sitting at home just working, and if they don't have people around them, it's like they're not even talking the whole day, except for getting on calls or meetings. But just a thought.
Absolutely. Cats, any questions?
Yes, AI used this application. AI used only for the prediction for the risk of infection.
For the risk score overall. So today it's calculating risk score for infection.
Okay.
Future uses would be risk score, talking about what we've talked about here, overall employee health.
Okay, yeah, but I think AI should predict the worker efficiency and the project efficiency too.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, if you do that, Mr. Hemi won't do this one.
All right.
I like the aspect of all the integrations of the different tools. I think Rashmi had a good point that Slack would be a good one. If you can put like Microsoft 365, pull in information from Teams and things like that, it would be good.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think ultimately a point to consider is that what we did today was just sort of a demonstrative framework and sort of a use case example, but ultimately it's the technology and C2M and micro AI, and we can really do any of these things that have been suggested. They're all great suggestions, so we can really bring in almost any application metrics.
Yep. So again, we are COVID-365. Thank you all for listening today. There was a play on Microsoft 365 because there's so many uses for this. So again, COVID-365. Thank you guys for listening.
All right. Thank you guys.